The ocean holds countless secrets, but some are darker than anyone can imagine. In 1947, a mysterious Dutch-Indonesian freighter sent a chilling distress call, all officers dead, the crew dead. When rescuers arrived, they found a ship frozen in terror, its entire crew dead under inexplicable circumstances. What happened aboard the SS Ourang Medan? Was it a chemical accident, or something far more sinister? Tonight, we dive into one of the most haunting maritime mysteries in history, a story that has puzzled sailors and historians for decades. The sky above the Strait of Malacca was strangely calm the morning the distress call came through, a stillness so unnatural that even the sea birds circling overhead refused to make a sound. The radio operator aboard the Silver Star, an American merchant ship patrolling nearby waters, leaned forward as the static crackled with a message so fragmented and eerie that it took him several minutes to piece it together. At first, it was just a faint hiss, like someone breathing too close to the microphone. Then, buried beneath the distortion, a voice emerged, trembling, hollow, and unnatural, as though it came from someone standing in a frozen room. All officers, including the captain, dead. The operator shot upright. He pressed his ear closer, forcing the static aside with the turning of a dial. Crew, dead. A sudden pause. The voice returned, weaker this time, as if the speaker had begun sinking beneath dark waters. Dying. Then nothing. Just dead air. The Silver Star's captain, Charles Milton, was summoned immediately. When the radio operator played back the message, Captain Milton felt the hair rise on his arms. The phrasing was strange. Too blunt. Too final. But what unsettled him more was the tone, empty, trembling, as though drained of life. What ship did this come from? Milton demanded. The operator swallowed. It's signed from the SS Ourang Medan, sir. Captain Milton frowned. He had heard the name before, a Dutch-Indonesian freighter rumored to be transporting military supplies after the war. But it was said to keep to itself, avoiding major ports, often disappearing from shipping lanes for weeks at a time. He had no personal reason to intervene. But something about the message, it gnawed at him. Set course immediately, Milton ordered. And so, the Silver Star turned sharply toward the coordinates given in the fading transmission. The Ourang Medan revealed itself in the early afternoon, drifting silently across calm water like a colossal steel corpse. Its hull was rusted and dark, streaked with salt scars that told stories of harsh voyages. No smoke rose from its funnel. No flag fluttered from its mast. And most disturbingly, no crew appeared on deck. Captain Milton lifted his binoculars. The ship's name, faded and chipped, was barely legible along the bow. As the Silver Star circled the freighter, every crew member on board could feel something was wrong. It was more than the silence. It was more than the absence of life. The air around the Ourang Medan felt colder. As though the ship carried a shadow with it. "We'll board her," Milton said, lowering the binoculars. "But keep your guard up. Something's not right." A boarding team of 7 men prepared ropes and grappling hooks. Every one of them moved slowly, speaking little. They didn't need to talk, the atmosphere said enough. The chief engineer, Ortega, muttered under his breath, "Feels like boarding a coffin." The climb onto the Ourang Medan's deck was eerily easy, as though the ship were inviting them on. When their boots touched steel, a metallic echo rang across the open deck. Then came the smell, not rot, not oil, but something cold, chemical, and sickly sweet. Like a laboratory that had been sealed shut for too long. And then they saw the first body. The man was lying on his back near the port rail, limbs twisted as though he had been thrown there by an invisible force. His mouth gaped open in a silent scream. His eyes were wide, too wide, staring straight into the sun with a horror so vivid it looked alive. One of the boarding men covered his mouth. What the hell happened to him? Captain Milton bent down. No signs of injury. No blood. No bruises. It was as though the man had simply died of terror. They found more bodies as they moved deeper. A sailor slumped against a wall, teeth clenched so hard his jaw had cracked. A pair of men frozen mid-run, arms extended forward as if fleeing from something. A cook lying face down in the galley, his stiff fingers still reaching for a pot on the stove. There were no signs of fighting. No weapons drawn. No struggle. Just pure, frozen fear. But nothing prepared them for the sight in the bridge. The captain of the Ourang Medan sat in his chair, rigid and bolt upright, with the same horrifying expression as the rest of his crew. A half-finished logbook lay open before him. The final entry ended abruptly, the pen mark dragging off the page as if snatched from his hand. "What did they see?" whispered Ortega. No one answered. The whole ship felt colder now, more than the sea breeze could explain. The air seemed to weigh on their chests, making every breath sharp and tight. It reminded Milton of walking into a room where someone had just died. An unseen pressure. A lingering presence. A warning. The boarding team made its way down the corridor toward the radio compartment, guided by a trail of stiffened bodies. The smell of cold metal and chemicals thickened with each step. Inside the small room, the radio operator was slumped against the wall, one hand still resting on the transmitter. His eyes were so wide they looked ready to burst. His other hand clutched his throat, fingers stiffened into claws. "He's the one who sent the message," one man whispered. Milton nodded grimly. And whatever he saw, it killed him before he could finish. The air inside the radio room felt colder than anywhere else on the ship. A cold that felt wrong. Almost unnatural. Suddenly, the Silver Star's men heard a sound, faint, distant, but sharp. A metallic clang. Like something heavy shifting below deck. The men froze. "Did you hear that?" Ortega whispered. When the boarding party reached the main deck, panic had overtaken most of them. Their breaths came out as white vapor, even in the tropical heat. Captain Milton turned toward the ropes to order evacuation. But the moment his feet touched the deck, he smelled something new. Smoke. Thin wisps curled up from the lower decks, from the engine room they had just escaped. Within seconds, flames erupted, orange and violent, swallowing the cold air with startling speed. "Move! Back to the Silver Star!" Milton roared. The men scrambled across the planks, climbing over the rails and sliding down ropes as fire spread with unnatural ferocity behind them. The last man dropped into the rescue boat just as a thunderous explosion rocked the Ourang Medan. Flame burst through the hatchways, ripping the deck apart. The explosion sent a powerful shockwave across the sea. "Cut the lines!" Milton yelled. The rescue boat paddled back, distancing itself as the Silver Star's crew hauled them aboard. The Ourang Medan burned like a floating torch. For years, sailors spoke of the Ourang Medan in hushed voices. Some claimed it was carrying illegal chemicals from post-war stockpiles. Others whispered of darker cargo, biological weapons, supernatural relics, or forbidden experiments. But the men of the Silver Star never said a word. Not about the frozen faces. Not about the whispering. Not about the unnatural cold. And sometimes, late at night, when Captain Milton lay awake in his cabin, he swore he could still hear that final transmission echoing in his mind. "All officers dead, the crew dead." But it was the last line, the whispered one, that haunted him most. "I, dying." A voice that didn't sound entirely human anymore.